An unplanned pregnancy forced Marcus to marry me. What I got in return was alienation from everyone I knew, merely serving as a backdrop for his and his true love's relationship. After we married, we were like strangers living under the same roof. Even the daughter I painstakingly brought into the world advised me to divorce him. Mom, you forcefully took Dad away from Aunt back then. What right do you have to complain about anyone else? When I opened my eyes again, I was back before my marriage. This time, I meticulously avoided every encounter with Marcus. I had an abortion and left Marcus. Later, he cried, begging me to get back together. But this time, I wouldn't repeat the same mistakes. Without, I could live a more fulfilling, freer life. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us where you're listening from in the comments. March 15, 2022. I stared at the time on my phone, frozen in place for a long time. I couldn't believe it, I had been reborn. Reborn back to a time before my marriage, before one wrong step led to a cascade of errors. Since fate gave me a second chance, this time, I absolutely wouldn't repeat the same mistakes, I would live for myself. The TV was broadcasting a promo for the series Stardust, starring the actor who was my boyfriend of 10 years, Marcus. Marcus had handsome features and was tall and well-built. After careful grooming by his management agency and boosted by a devoted lover persona, he was the prince in the hearts of his female fans. Everyone said Marcus was deeply devoted to me, his plain-looking girlfriend, and that I was completely unworthy of such a big star. But no one knew that we had been together since we were 18. For 10 whole years, I had made countless sacrifices to further his career. To maintain his image as a devoted boyfriend and take his career to the next level, he had no desire to marry me. In the end, it was my unplanned pregnancy, and the fact that the child would need to be registered upon birth, that forced him to compromise. I was the housewife behind this big star. Marcus and his agent, Victoria, had an ambiguous relationship outside, while I was at home caring for Victoria's child. Marcus's career continued to soar, and he came home less and less, but I still tirelessly cared for both children. What I hadn't expected was that my daughter and Victoria's son had given in to forbidden love. Of course, I had to severely reprimand them for making such a mistake during adolescence. But I forgot they were also in their rebellious phase. Victoria's son ran away from home with my daughter, and Marcus and I had a huge fight because of it. The sham marriage I had tried so hard to maintain was finally shattered by Victoria's manipulation. Even after being reborn, I could still clearly remember what my daughter had said to me. Mom, Leo and I are in love. You forcefully took Dad away from Aunt back then, and now you want to separate me from the person I love. What exactly are your true intentions? Because of you, Dad and Aunt can't be together openly. Do you want Leo and me to live in secret forever too? Can't you stand to see me happy? You're truly selfish. Hearing my daughter say those words, my heart was shattered. I had given her everything, yet in her eyes, I was such a mother. It was utterly ridiculous. A triumphant Victoria advised Marcus and me to get a divorce. I looked at Marcus, who had already won best, and his gaze towards me was utterly cold. Why should I divorce him? What reason did I have to divorce him? I was unwilling to accept such a result for over a decade of effort. I just hadn't expected my daughter's heart to be so ruthless. So ruthless that, to be together, she colluded with her boyfriend to meticulously plan my suicide accident. Before I died, my daughter gave me a sinister smile and casually said, Mom, please don't blame me. Because of your existence, Leo, Dad, Aunt, and I are all unhappy. If you just die, we'll all be happy. Don't blame us, blame yourself for being too selfish. And just like that, I died with bitter resentment. Before death, one's entire life flashes before their eyes. In that life, I had lived for others. If I got a second chance, I would definitely live for myself. I came back to my senses from the memories of my previous life. I touched my lower abdomen. If I remembered correctly, I was 2 months pregnant. Back then, I had wanted to use this child to force Marcus to compromise and marry me, so I insisted on having her. To be honest, this child was also what created a rift between Marcus and me. Looking back, I realized how foolish I had been, insisting on being tied to someone who no longer loved me. I called Marcus. When the call connected, I was met with Marcus's impatient tone. I'm still filming. I know what you want to say. Can't you wait until I get home tonight to discuss it? According to my memories from my previous life, I had told Marcus about the pregnancy 2 days prior, and he had told me to get rid of the baby and hadn't come home for a month straight. So this call must have made the big star quite angry. Actually, I wanted to tell him that I would have an abortion, but he hung up before I could speak. So, I went to the hospital alone, registered, waited in line, and scheduled the procedure. The doctor looked at my physical examination report, then at me earnestly, and advised, an abortion procedure is very harmful to the mother's body, and the baby is developing well. Would you like to reconsider? Only I knew that the daughter in my womb was a ruthless, mother-killing devil. I insisted on the abortion without hesitation. After the abortion procedure, I returned to my cold home, intending to go to bed, only to find Marcus, Victoria, and her son, Leo, had come back. 5-year-old Leo excitedly ran to the dining room, then pouted in disappointment. Huh? No dinner? Marcus frowned and reprimanded, why didn't you make dinner? Seeing his entitled attitude, I couldn't help but laugh. Am I your housekeeper? Why should I make dinner? Leo glared at me fiercely, then ran behind Victoria, feigning fear. Dad, Auntie is so mean. Victoria immediately explained, Audrey, I'm so sorry. We all thought you had made dinner. Leo kept complaining he was hungry on the way here, and you know children need to eat to grow. If your child is hungry, take him out to eat, I said unceremoniously. My house isn't a cafeteria, and I'm not a chef. Hearing this, Victoria looked at Marcus with a wronged expression and softly said, Marcus, it seems Audrey doesn't welcome me. I'll take Leo out to find something to eat. You and Audrey, please have a good talk, okay? Watching's hypocritical act, I felt sick to my stomach. After saw them off, he turned to me with a scowl and demanded, Audrey, who were you putting on that act for? I've been filming all day. I didn't rush back here to see your scowl, but to resolve the issue of the baby with you. Seeing's attitude, I felt even more certain that I had been too foolish in my previous life. So you never truly thought about having children with me, about being with me? I couldn't help but raise my voice, demanding coldly. Seeing me speak with such a firm tone, which I rarely did, Marcus immediately deflated and explained guiltily, my career is just taking off now. My work schedule is planned until the second half of next year. How could I take care of you? In my previous life, Marcus had said similar things to me. Later, my persistence only resulted in me taking maternity leave alone, giving birth alone, raising the child alone, everything, alone. Seeing my silence, Marcus continued to persuade, besides, we're still young. Wouldn't it be nice to have a couple more years just for ourselves? Couldn't we have children later? When I saw his hand reach out, disgusted, I pushed it away and calmly stated, I went to the hospital this afternoon and had an abortion. Hearing this, I clearly saw Marcus secretly breathe a sigh of relief. He then quickly put on an act of feigned self-reproach, Audrey, what about our marriage plans then? You're right, I said. We're still young, and your career is most important. Let's postpone the marriage. I was too willful before, always wanting you to marry me. I won't pressure you so much anymore. My understanding greatly pleased Marcus. I didn't know if Marcus felt some guilt towards me, but the next day he personally cooked and simmered some porridge for me. I feigned a touched expression and looked at him. Marcus, this porridge is really delicious. Of course, I cursed him several times in my mind. Marcus smiled and said, Audrey, having you is my good fortune. Seeing his insincere affection, I was utterly disgusted and quickly urged him to leave for his filming. The moment Marcus left, I hired Martha. During the recovery period from the abortion, when a woman is most vulnerable, I couldn't neglect myself. I needed to take good care of my body. Coincidentally, during this time, my best friend Maya asked me to become a designer at Metropolitan Group. In my previous life, I had refused. This time, I wanted to change my destiny. When received my call agreeing to the offer, she was thrilled. Now this is the Audrey I know, the one who wants to be a famous designer, not the Audrey sacrificing oneself for love, trapped in a self-made cage. Rest well at home, you'll report for duty next month. From now on, the countdown was 30 days. Then I would embrace my brand new future. While recovering, I scrolled through social media and would see updates about Marcus, such as his attendance at awards ceremonies, promotions for new dramas, and behind-the-scenes footage from his filming. On the 15th day, Marcus called me out of the blue, which surprised me. Audrey, how have you been at home lately? Marcus's tone carried a hint of concern. I answered blandly, I'm doing fine. Then I'll come CK to see you in a couple of days, Marcus said. I quickly refused, no need. I've hired Martha, and she'll take good care of my meals. Besides, the pandemic has worsened again recently, with lockdowns everywhere and frequent testing. It wouldn't be good if it interfered with your work. Marcus heard this and indeed agreed. You're right. Then I'll come back to see you after this busy period is over. Okay, I said. I hoped he would never come back. I didn't want to hear him ramble on any further, so I hung up without waiting for his reply. Days passed like this. On the 27th day, Marcus surprisingly returned, bringing Victoria and Leo with him. I looked at Marcus in shock. Why are you back? Marcus held 2 large grocery bags in his hands, clearly having just gone grocery shopping with them. He explained, I came back to see you, have dinner together. How's your recovery? Having dinner together and bringing so many people? I sneered softly. Marcus perhaps hadn't expected me to be so direct, the smile on his face froze. Audrey, don't be difficult. Victoria forced a conciliatory smile. Audrey, sorry to bother you. For after handed the groceries to Martha, he went to the home office with Victoria to discuss work. Cheerful laughter constantly drifted out, and I really couldn't stand listening anymore, so I went to the kitchen to help Martha out. Martha, who was in her 50s, was preparing vegetables while quietly reminding me, Audrey, don't mind me for speaking out of turn, but you can't be so naive. I looked at her, puzzled. Martha lowered her voice and explained, your boyfriend is handsome, and he rarely comes home for work. When he finally does, he brings a woman and a child with him. I gave a weary smile. She's his agent. Listen to that laughter, Martha said. Does that sound like a typical agent? Audrey, I know your boyfriend is a big star, and men like that are watched by more women. You shouldn't dismiss the agent like that. Look at that agent, wearing such a short skirt, flirting provocatively. Who knows if that's even appropriate for work? Audrey, I've lived for 50 years, I wouldn't mislead you. Martha told me a lot, insisting I had to be wary of my boyfriend's agent, and also warned me that 9 times out of 10, men with money and power go bad. I listened with a silent smile. The current me wouldn't argue with Marcus, I just wanted to finish this meal and quickly send them away. But an accident still happened. The building management staff came to announce that a confirmed case had been discovered in another building in our complex. Residents of that building would undergo a 7-day home quarantine, while residents of other buildings would undergo 2 tests in 3 days. The entire complex was now under lockdown, and no one could enter or exit. Hearing this news, a sense of helplessness washed over me. My carefully laid plans were disrupted. A 3-day lockdown wasn't the main issue. The key was that I didn't want to live under the same roof as Victoria and her son. Marcus, the complex is locked down now. No one can enter or exit. What should Leo and I do? Victoria asked, feigning anxiety. A worried Marcus said, you'll just have to stay here. Luckily, the work I have for the next few days can be postponed. Stay here? Would mind? Victoria asked with feigned concern, glancing meaningfully at me. Marcus quickly interjected, this is a special situation. Audrey will understand. Then I guess will be an inconvenience. Victoria said, with a look of self-reproach. I looked at them blandly, my heart felt nothing. There are only 2 bedrooms in the house. Martha is already in one, so there are no extra rooms. Leo tugged at Marcus's clothes, pouted, his eyes welling up with tears, and asked, Dad, does Auntie not want Mom and me to stay here? I'm not going to have to sleep outside, am I? Marcus quickly picked him up, comforting him, little, of course not. Then he looked at me. I'll make arrangements. I said nothing more, quietly watching Marcus make his arrangements. His arrangement was to have Victoria and Leo stay in my bedroom, me sleep on the sofa, and him sleep on the floor in the home office. This arrangement was truly. Still sticking to my principle of not wanting to argue with them, I went into the bedroom to get my things, only to see that Leo had not only pulled my clothes out of the closet and strewn them all over the floor but had also damaged my makeup, especially my lipstick. And at that very moment, he was still on my bed. My anger could no longer be contained. I quickly stepped forward and pulled Leo off the bed, yelling, get down. 5 Leo's cries drew Marcus, Victoria, and Martha. Victoria rushed to Leo's side, scooped him into her arms, and softly comforted him, Leo, don't cry. But wouldn't listen, screaming loudly with squinting eyes, Aunt is so mean. Aunt is so mean. Victoria, too, looked at me with tears in her eyes and a wronged expression. Audrey, I know you don't like me and my child, but he's still so young. You can't take your anger out on a child like that, it will leave a psychological scar. Marcus also chimed in, Audrey, you went a bit too far this time. Seeing them act like a family of 3, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I went too far. Victoria, open your eyes and see what your son has done to my room. Only then did Marcus see the mess on the floor. The words he had intended to use to blame me instantly got stuck in his throat, and his expression changed from questioning to consoling. Audrey, the child is still young and doesn't know any better. Leo, quickly apologized to Aunt. I certainly wouldn't accept Leo's apology. I looked directly at Victoria. Just compensate me for the damages. With that, I turned and went to the living room. I don't know what Marcus said to the mother and son, but they closed the bedroom door. Marcus sat next to me, his tone lacking the confidence he had early. Audrey, Leo was indeed in the wrong, but you're an adult. Don't hold it against a child. I'll give you money, and you can buy new ones. I let out a soft laugh. Do you think this is about money? Marcus looked at me with a heavy expression, as if he wanted to say something but held back. In the end, neither of us said anything. The next day, each household had to undergo separate COVID tests. Marcus and Martha took Leo downstairs first, leaving only Victoria and me in the house. Victoria scrutinized me with the gaze of a mistress. You're completely unworthy of Marcus. She was provoking me, trying to make me angry. You two will never have a future together, so I advise you to give up, she said, raising her chin and looking at me triumphantly. I just smiled silently. In my previous life, if Victoria had said something like that to me, I definitely would have gotten angry and made a huge scene. To be honest, in my previous life, I truly feared Victoria. After all, she had both figure and looks. But only someone who has died once truly understands the preciousness of life. So, apart from life and death, everything else is trivial, especially love. The love Victoria thought she had secured and was worth showing off was now worthless in my eyes. Fortunately, no other confirmed cases were found during the 2 tests in 3 days, and our building was unlocked. Marcus also needed to prepare for work. As they were leaving, I called Marcus aside. We had been giving each other the silent treatment for these 3 days because of Leo. Marcus, I said, I've thought a lot these past 3 days. I think I need to reconsider our relationship. Marcus frowned, asking incredulously, are you saying you want to break up with me? Audrey, being locked down isn't something I can control. Are you really breaking up with me just because I let Victoria stay here? I looked at him calmly. Marcus gave a cold laugh. Victoria is George's wife, you know that. If it weren't for George, I wouldn't be where I am today. You also know George died because of me. I can't possibly abandon Victoria and her son. 6 George, Marcus's former agent, died in a car accident 3 years ago. He rescued Marcus before the car overturned and exploded. He said Marcus would definitely be a future best, with a promising future, and that the entertainment industry couldn't lose such a brilliant star. After died, his wife, Victoria, became Marcus's new agent. Marcus's guilt towards the mother and son might have been why their relationship began to change at some unknown point. I smiled meaningfully at Marcus and said blandly, if Niu had an inextricably tangled relationship with his wife, he'd probably claw his way out of his grave to find you. Marcus, hit by my words, immediately his face darkened. You are completely unreasonable. If you want to break up, then break up. Don't regret it. With that, he left. I wasn't just not unhappy about the breakup, I was thrilled. To prevent another lockdown at home, I quickly packed my bags and boarded a flight to Metropolis. Maya was already waiting for me at the airport. When she saw me, she gave me a big hug. 4 years. I missed you terribly. I looked at Maya. She had changed so much. Dressed in smart casual attire, her hair tied up in a high ponytail, she looked very capable. The from college, however, had been a timid girl with 2 low ponytails. 4 years truly can change a person. It could turn a compliant college student into a formidable sales director in the workplace. It could also tame an enthusiastic college student into a hesitant, soon-to-be housewife. Maya, you've changed so much these past 4 years, I couldn't help but exclaim. Maya looked at me and sighed meaningfully. You've changed a lot too. I smiled silently. To be honest, these past 4 years I had isolated myself from society, revolving solely around one person, and I had truly fallen far behind. I still remember in college, you told me that we girls could also soar like eagles in the sky, spread our wings, and leave our mark. I had said such things back in college? I never would have thought. Maya gave me an encouraging smile. Audrey, don't worry, this time I'll help you find the old you. I laughed. Alright, boss, I'll be counting on you to look out for me from now on. Audrey, Maya said, although you're just starting as a regular designer, our company is where merit speaks for itself. If you get eliminated, I'll be truly sorry, but I believe in your abilities. In a society that requires work experience, after 4 years of graduation, my resume was a complete blank. Big companies wouldn't even consider me. Metropolitan Group was very famous, and it was already incredibly difficult for Maya to help me get in. I nodded gratefully. Don't worry, I'll work hard, or else your kindness will be wasted. The next day, I went to the HR department at Metropolitan Group to complete my onboarding procedures. Led by the design department manager, I arrived at my workstation and saw my busy colleagues in the office, feeling the pressure of work. I looked at the ID badge in my hand, Audrey, designer, design department. At that moment, my heart was filled with excitement. I thought, I needed to find the girl I used to be, lost somewhere in my career. The ambitious girl with clear goals for her future career. The girl who wanted to make a name for herself in the design world. 7. I quickly settled into my work. After a month, though it was exhausting and the pay wasn't high, I felt incredibly fulfilled. Moreover, my fashion designs earned praise from the department manager. When I received the manager's recognition, I realized I had finally found my footing in society. My heart swelled with immense joy, and my self-worth was gradually being rediscovered and affirmed. That day, just as I got home from work, I surprisingly received a call from Marcus. "You're not home? Where are you?" Marcus's interrogation. And followed immediately after I answered. I paused for a second, then smiled. "Mr. Big, you seem to have forgotten that we broke up a month ago. Since we're no longer together, how could I possibly keep living in your house?" There was silence for a few seconds on the other end, then his voice softened slightly. "Are you still angry?" I admit my tone was a bit harsh last time, and Victoria felt very guilty afterward. Why hold a grudge against a child? Stop making a fuss and come home. "All right then," I said very calmly, "you make Victoria get out." "Audrey, do you think this is amusing? I've told you many times, George's last words before he died were for me to take good care of the mother and son. If I fire Victoria, where would she find another job?" Marcus questioned, barely concealing his displeasure. I said, "She can be an agent for others." "Does leaving you mean she can't be one anymore?" Marcus was left speechless by my question. It was the truth, he understood it deep down, but he was just unwilling to face it. I sighed deeply and said, "Marcus, do you remember last month when we were in lockdown, and you and Martha took Leo downstairs to get COVID tests? Do you remember what Victoria said to me at home?" Marcus remained silent, I could only hear his breathing. I continued, "She said I was completely unworthy of you. She said we would never have a future together and advised me to give up on you." As I said these words, I expected to feel agitated, but in reality, I felt incredibly calm, as if I were describing something completely unrelated to myself. Marcus remained silent, I couldn't see his expression. I continued, "Marcus, we've been together for 10 years. I know you. You always use repaying George's kindness as an excuse to allow the rotten seed in Victoria's heart to sprout. Of course, you also enjoy it, because she can help your career, can't she?" I had spoken Marcus's true feelings. "Audrey, I'm sorry, I really did think about marrying you. Audrey, please come back. If you just come back, we'll go get our marriage license right away." Marcus was speaking incoherently. "Get our marriage license?" I said, as if I'd heard a ridiculous joke. His tone sounded like he was offering me a handout. He was right, it should have been a handout. After all, I had humbly asked Marcus countless times when we could finally get married. "But, I don't want to marry you now," I said casually. Audrey, don't necessarily need you." I had now found my true self. "Audrey, do you know what you're saying?" Marcus's emotions suddenly flared over the phone. "Didn't you always want to marry me? Stop fooling around, okay? I'm willing to marry you, really." What I found ridiculous was why Marcus thought I was throwing a tantrum. I didn't want to explain further. I just hung up and blocked him. 8. I blocked all of Marcus's contact information. I wanted to sever all ties with him completely and say goodbye to that relationship. Unconsciously, I had been working for 3 months. I had achieved some small successes in my job. A collaborating company adopted my fashion designs, resulting in a 50 million contract. Not only did my boss promote me to a permanent position ahead of schedule, but he also gave me a raise and doubled my year-end bonus. See? I wasn't useless after all. During my lunch break, I went to the company pantry to make coffee and overheard my colleagues gossiping. "Did you hear?" someone said. "Paparazzi caught Marcus and his agent having a huge fight in the parking garage." From the leaked video, they were arguing quite fiercely. I heard Marcus's current agent is his former agent's wife. Their relationship is quite intimate. Didn't Marcus have a girlfriend? And they'd been together for 10 years. His girlfriend's name is Audrey. "Hey, we also have an Audrey here." As soon as she said that, all their eyes turned to me. I secretly sighed in relief. Luckily, everyone only knew my name. When I used to this It Marcus on set, to maintain his persona of a doting boyfriend who didn't want his non-celebrity girlfriend exposed to the cameras. I always wrapped myself up completely. It's a common name, I quickly explained. If I really had a big star boyfriend, I wouldn't be working here. Everyone nodded in agreement, then started fantasizing about having a celebrity boyfriend themselves. I left the pantry and went to the company rooftop for some fresh air. I opened the social media app, and it automatically pushed a secretly filmed video of Marcus and Victoria arguing. Although there was no audio of the argument, their body language clearly showed they were having a very unpleasant fight, and the incident even trended online. Suddenly, an ominous feeling also rose in my heart. After work, just as I walked out of the company building, a luxury car appeared at the entrance. The car window lowered, revealing Marcus, heavily disguised. "Get in," Marcus said in a hoarse whisper, clearly hadn't rested well. I froze, nervously glancing left and right. It was rush hour, and if I insisted on not getting in the car, Marcus would definitely do something impulsive, and I might lose this hard-won stable job. After much hesitation, I still got in. I was truly terrified of being photographed by paparazzi lurking in the shadows. After the car drove off, Marcus removed his sunglasses, mask, and hat. I hadn't seen him in 4 months, and seeing him again, I was stunned. Marcus, who always kept himself in pristine condition, now looked haggard and pale, his beard unshaven, bearing no resemblance to the glamorous big star he once was. "Are you quitting the entertainment industry?" I asked, puzzled. Marcus shook his head, looking at me with deep affection, filled with reluctance. "Audrey, I finally found you. Truly worthy of best," the tears came on command. "May I ask why you came to see me today?" I asked directly, hardening my expression. He quickly grasped my hand, humbling himself. "Audrey, why are you working here? It's been 4 months, your anger must have subsided. Won't you come back with me?" I pushed his hand away, looked at him seriously, and said word for word, "No way. Marcus, we've already broken up. Without you, I can live a more fulfilling life." Marcus told me many, many things. He told me that he had broken up with me in a fit of anger and it didn't count. These past 4 months, he had thought of me every moment and had been searching for my whereabouts. He also said he planned to fire Victoria and hire a male agent instead. Every word he said was filled with deep affection and sincerity, all to make me change my mind. I couldn't help but smile. An actor's tears are the cheapest. "Do you think I'm still the same person I used to be? Since you and Victoria are so in love, wouldn't it be better if I just let you be together?" I asked with a mocking laugh. Marcus gave a bitter smile. "I don't love Victoria. I only love you, Audrey." I certainly wouldn't believe another word he said. Marcus suggested we have dinner together, but I refused. After all, he was a public figure, with eyes watching him at all times. I didn't want my peaceful life to be disrupted by him. After returning to my rental apartment, an unknown number called. Fearing it was work-related, I answered. "Audrey." It was Victoria's voice. These two were truly amusing. "Marcus came to find you, didn't he?" Victoria said, getting straight to the point. I couldn't help but smile. I had no intention of hiding it. After all, our meeting wasn't some scandalous affair. "Yes. Did he say he wanted to get back together with you?" Victoria's tone carried a hint of amusement. I asked with a sarcastic laugh, "What, even though I've voluntarily stepped aside, Marcus still isn't willing to be with you?" Victoria sneered, "Do you really think Marcus wants to get back together with you? He's just been under pressure from competitors recently, and he's built up this devoted lover persona. How about you issue a statement saying you initiated the breakup? Listen to that. Listen to what Victoria was saying. Are you two conspiring to play good cop, bad cop with me?" I asked. "If I issue a breakup statement, you two can exploit this and pin the blame on me? Audrey, don't you understand? Only I can help Marcus's career," Victoria said, growing somewhat furious. "Only I am worthy of being with Marcus." I didn't know what had happened between the two of them, but it no longer concerned me. I had no desire to be a pawn in their games. I simply hung up the phone. The next day at work, as soon as I opened the door, I saw Marcus. "Why are you still here?" I asked, frowning in confusion. Marcus looked even more haggard than the day before, with dark circles under his eyes and his eyes lifeless. "Audrey, did Victoria call you last night?" Marcus asked. I bit back my anger and warned, "Please, both of you, just leave me alone." Marcus anxiously explained, "Don't believe Victoria. She only said those things because she's afraid we'll get back together. She doesn't want us to reconcile." "Are you really going to reconcile with me?" I asked. Marcus's eyes immediately lit up, and he quickly nodded. I emphasized expressionlessly, tell her not to worry. I won't get back together with you. Seeing my resolute attitude, the light in his eyes instantly extinguished. Is there really no possibility of us getting back together? I remained silent, it was my clearest answer. He pulled at the corner of his mouth, giving a self-deprecating smile. How did we end up like this? Audrey, I won't give up. I'll pursue you again. 10 After made his vow to me, he hastily left. After that, he seemed to vanish from my world and never reappeared. After I had been working for a year, the department manager transferred to a branch office, and I was promoted to department manager based on my own abilities. My life was moving in a positive direction. One weekend, as Maya and I were having lunch, she exclaimed in surprise, Audrey, check online. Marcus and Victoria's scandal has been exposed. That scandalous duo has finally been exposed. Thank goodness. As my best friend, Maya knew all about them. I opened my phone and saw a video of Marcus and Victoria passionately kissing at home, having forgotten to draw the curtains, then kissing their way into the bedroom. This, without a doubt, shattered Marcus's image as a deeply devoted man. After all, fans knew his girlfriend was a girl named Audrey. After the incident, Marcus immediately went into crisis management, quickly clarifying that he had been single a year and a half ago and only started dating his agent yesterday. While it's common for celebrities and their agents to date in the entertainment industry, these two had already been the subject of gossip. Many netizens weren't buying his story and began to dig deeper. Maya commented below, Marcus is a complete jerk. He was with his girlfriend, Audrey, for 10 years, constantly manipulating her, all while getting cozy with Victoria under the guise of repaying a favor. Not only that, but she also hired internet trolls to amplify the comments. Immediately after, many brands with contracts with Marcus issued statements announcing their termination and demanding compensation. Maya proudly shook her phone. Audrey, she said, that jerk is probably going to be paying off debts for the rest of his life. I just smiled. Seeing face such a downfall, I couldn't find it in me to be happy. A year later, Marcus suddenly found me. He was still heavily disguised, but instead of expensive luxury items, he was wearing cheap clothes. Audrey, I'm sorry, he said. I said, you don't need to apologize to me. Marcus looked at me shamefully. That video, he explained, Victoria deliberately called the paparazzi to expose us, wanting to force me into a relationship with her. So, are you together now? I asked. He paused, then gave a self-deprecating smile and nodded, we got married. Congratulations then, I said. I couldn't see any happiness in him. Victoria's reputation is utterly destroyed, and I'm tainted with a terrible name. We had no choice but to get married, Audrey. A lot has happened to me this year, and because of this scandal, my career is completely ruined. No renowned directors will cast me, and they've all sued me. I sold our house and cars to pay off debts, but I still owe $2 million. Audrey, if we hadn't broken up back then. There are no ifs in this world. I knew what Marcus wanted to say, and I interrupted him. He looked at me meaningfully, his eyes brimming with tears, and offered a bitter smile. He nodded in agreement. You're right, he said, there are no ifs in this world. I don't know why Marcus specifically came to tell me all this, but I won't pity him. I stood up and said, Marcus, I still have work to do, goodbye. He hesitated, as if to say more, but in the end, only managed to utter goodbye. Today is the day I was appointed design. My boss asked me what my design name would be from now on. I thought for a moment and said, let's call it Phoenix. Phoenix, symbolizing rebirth from the ashes. Thanks for tuning in to today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below, so feel free to share your opinions. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories. See you next time.